I really like the way you've wrapped your hijab in your profile picture.
Jazakallah, brother.
Please don't call me brother.
Oh, sorry, mate.
SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Half My Faith, All My Struggle.
Street lights guide me.
Love is being soulmates, really.
In Islam, marriage is a fundamental part of a Muslim's life. It is widely accepted across all schools of thought that getting married is half your faith.
Half your religion if you marry, and that is a huge thing that my parents also believe in.
However, for Muslims, finding a life partner in Britain isn't the easiest of tasks, especially when you are observing the faith whilst searching.
To find someone that you physically, mentally and emotionally connect with is so difficult.
12 wonderful people have agreed to embark on a unique journey with us, not only to share their experiences and struggles in finding a life partner, but also to learn new things about themselves along the way.
I feel that I'm ready now to share my life with someone. I just hope that it happens one day.
If I was to meet someone else, I'd probably take it very, very slow.
Does marriage being seen as more of a religious duty distort one's judgment in seeking a life partner?
I think you say you're looking for a wife, but I don't think you are looking for a wife.
With divorce always being a risk, could some be about to make the same mistakes again?
Don't look for someone who's like you, look for someone who's going to complement you.
This journey isn't about matchmaking. It's an insight into how 12 British Muslims are dealing with the struggles of trying to complete half their faith.
Hi, my name is Yasser Ranja, and I'm a BBC radio and TV presenter. Should we do that? Did you want me to say that? Or?
Meet 24-year-old radio DJ Yasser from Manchester, who now lives and works in the media industry in the capital of London.
Yasser. Welcome to the show, BBC Asian Network, every single Friday. You know how we do this.
And also DJs regularly at festivals and other popular gatherings.
Starting your party, introducing you to some of the tunes that no one is going to introduce to you for a very long time. That's right, we are so ahead.
Yasser is fun. Cute.
This is northwest of London. Very nice area actually, as you can see. And you got the local ambulance.
On trend. Witty. And intelligent.
So I was literally just around that side street over there, right? And this was late at night. I just come back from DJing. I'm walking, trying to get just to the night bus. And then all of a sudden this dude pops up and he tries to rob me. So he pulled out this weird knife thing, told me to stand outside, and he said, "What have you got for me?" And then he was trying to like search his stuff. Then I just got talking to him. Turns out he's a rapper. I then told him I work on the radio and I look for new talent. And we just exchanged numbers and became friends, rather than him trying to nick my phone off me, which was quite a sign. But that's Camden for you. That's Camden for
you. I want to get married because it's... I don't actually know. Why would you want to get married?
His work takes him into what some believe as being non-halal compliant environments, namely clubs.
These were my ticket to achieving the job I have at the moment. That's working at the BBC. I got these in 2010, and then this made me the first British Asian in history to win these awards. I somehow did a good job, I guess, so I'm here now. But these were really important. I think this is like the first thing I've really put all my effort into and got.
Yasser is very career driven and wants to find someone who will motivate him, yet have the values he was raised with.
When I was growing up, marriage was what I saw on TV. I'm not gonna lie, I just saw girl meets boy, love, married. And I think every single person that was growing up around Bollywood probably feels the same thing. I'd want to get married because you can't go through life on your own. It's a terrible, horrible world out there. And I feel if you do this alone, you know, hats off to you if you do it, but it is a tough nut to crack. So having a wife or a partner and being married, you sort of recruit another person onto the team, you know? You sort of got two of you rather than one of you at life. And it's as fond of the other person as they are of you. And it's a crazy sort of connection you two have. That's a beautiful thing, and I think it should be cherished.
Yasser is very passionate about his religion and is rightly proud of his Islamic principles.
Religion is everything to me. It is absolutely everything. Anything I do, religion has an influence on it, whether it's waking up in the morning, whatever it may be, religion is always there. God has always got your back, Allah has always got your back. And it's really, once you get into religion and once you go through times, you really do feel that, and that's why religion is very important to me.
In life, we can be dealt some very challenging cards. We have no control over these complexities and have to show resilience and patience. Marriage can also be a part of life's gifts and tests. Rabina is from Ashton and looking for a trustworthy man to help her reach for her goals as high as she can.
I think at some point in my life, I felt the need of sharing things with someone other than just my children. And I think my children realised that as well. I said to myself, you know, I deserve a bit of happiness in my life. And I've never had that since I was 16. So, yeah, maybe I might find someone who's different.
She has been through a very long and difficult ordeal, spanning over 2 decades.
I have this fear of I don't want to be hurt again because I've been hurt for so long.
Now she is ready to focus on rebuilding her life after many broken years. With 4 very independent children, 2 boys aged 12 and 13 and 2 girls aged 17 and 22.
My children said to me one day that, you know, you need to find someone for yourself and don't think about us. I did take that on board. I think when they realised that I was settled in terms of job-wise, I think they realised that sooner or later they're going to move on or move away. I think they were thinking about the future. They didn't want me to be on my own. They wanted me to be with someone, you know, who I could share things with.
So now she is ready to take back some of that time from her duties as a mother to build her life through education. She is 6 years into studying hard to become a teacher.
When I was on my own, I went back into study. I had no GCSE qualifications, so I did my English and maths again, and I did an ICT course. So I now work full-time. I'm still studying for a degree as well.
Rabina's journey to find a husband has been riddled with confidence issues, self-stalling, and a huge reluctance to let someone into her heart.
I'm a very private person. When it comes to feelings, I sort of keep them to myself. I don't share. And over the years, that's become a habit. I tend to keep them at a distance, whether it's online or whether I meet someone in person. I do tend to keep them at a distance.
Will Rabina's reluctance be perceived as her being uninterested? Is she too damaged for repair?
But this microwave right here is as old as I am. So my dad got my mum a present when they had a new kitchen when I was born, and he bought her this microwave, and now 25 years later there's me and this microwave together, still kicking it. Isn't that right? I think your community is the biggest sort of factor that decides your marriage, essentially, because if you're brought up in, say, a non-Muslim household, then, you know, marriage isn't something taken not as seriously but more looked at. I think in the Muslim household I was always felt like, you know, that was something that is going to happen, whereas coming to London it's a little bit more relaxed, I must say, especially living sort of the life of not with your family. I haven't got my mum all constantly saying, when's she coming home, when are you going to bring someone? I think if I was living in London, I'd probably be married by now, that type of thing, I guess, yeah.
To discuss spiritual compatibility, Yasser has come to meet comedian Guz Khan, who is also a Muslim in the media industry.
You're 25 years old, you're living the life, but explain to me, you know most brown people got an arranged marriage 10 years ago. You're late. Why are you late to the game, man?
I feel I'm one of the new generations that would rather get the career sorted first, because we moved from Pakistan and India and South Asia. So for me to establish myself in my career, I got to put in them extra years and then get married and have kids and have more of a comfortable life than trying to follow tradition, which we have in South Asia, and do it in this country. And I'm on 20 grand a year trying to apply for a mortgage and I've got kids at home. I don't know. I'm trying to wait it out, be patient, you know.
Yasser feels that the pool of British Muslims in the industry is thin, and to find someone would be a challenge.
I feel in my particular case, I wish there was more British Muslims or even Asians in there, but in the media they're not, and that's just the way it is. And I first realised that when I went to my first sort of media interviews, and I was the only Asian kid amongst so many different nationalities. Yeah. So it is very different, and people don't understand it.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Hey, do you pray?
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
What about Game of Thrones? Do you watch that?
No way, I've just finished season 4.
Find your perfect partner. SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Half My Faith or My Struggle.
Hey, have you been to Hajj or Umrah?
Yeah, I did Umrah a few years ago.
It's something I really
want to do when you get married, right?
Yeah, inshallah.
Find your perfect partner. SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Half My Faith or My Struggle.
So, bro, in terms of your career, it's very, very important to you, doing really, really well. Do you think that you would ever compromise your career and the success that you're building in order to find that perfect life partner, that perfect Muslim wife?
Yasser is meeting Guz Khan to discuss the reality of being in a Muslim marriage whilst maintaining an active career in the music industry.
I think if I actually sit down and think about reality and just be like, how is it actually going to work? You'll have to compromise something somewhere. But that's with any marriage. If I was a taxi driver, if I was an office worker, a lawyer, I'll have to compromise things. In terms of the deen, I think you can't really compromise the 5 pillars. You can't say, oh, I'll just pray 4 and I'll do 1 the next day on purpose. No, someone has to actually take that seriously. And if someone takes their deen seriously, they're obviously going to take their husband seriously.
First time I've met you today, it's just really cool to have somebody who's inside on the industry and still has a really, really close connection with their iman and wanting a life partner that really kind of reciprocates that feeling of Islam and building a life together. In terms of people looking in at you and then saying, wow, Islamically, is the music game the right thing for him? Can you even be a Muslim and be in the music game? Will his life partner, who you want to be, very practicing, will she be able to adhere to that kind of lifestyle? How do you feel about that? How do you think all those things tie in together?
I feel like, the world's changed a lot, and it's a huge difference between where we started. I'm talking 50 years ago, as sort of when the migration happened coming towards the West from South Asia or from Muslim countries. And the religions are so different that it's hard to understand sometimes. Now, for example, forget the media industry. Let's just go into sort of banking or the finance world. The amount of drugs used in that world is crazy. Yet on the outside, oh, he's wearing a suit, he's got a briefcase, he must be doing well. So in every single type of career, I believe there's also the negative that you can go into, especially in the Western world, in such a liberal country as well.
Yasser doesn't seem to recognise the reality of being a husband who DJs in clubs.
The game that you're in, the entertainment industry, I think some people might feel like they're intrinsically opposed to be a Muslim and within that game. For you personally, you mentioned previously in your interviews, you want a partner who's practicing. How would you define that, bro? How do you want your relationship with your wife to develop and for both of you to develop spiritually? How do you see that playing out?
I think practicing has changed over time. Not the religion, don't get me wrong, I'm saying the practice itself, because a lot of tradition was involved with religion, especially from South Asia. So where I am in my life, for example, I'm going to a party at the Brit Awards or something, you're not going to find a hijabi there. If you do, I will.
If you do,
I will snap her up.
She's in trouble. Exactly.
She'll be in trouble, but I will wife her straight away.
But how does Yasser expect he will find a headscarf-wearing, UK and Islamic law-abiding, creative art, music and design understanding, husband is a club DJ accepting, career-supporting and transparency with her own parents having, family-orientated, homely with a sense of humour, ambitious, practising, pretty, perfect Muslim woman?
There's two worlds and they can live together.
Yasser.
But so you don't really find them sort of people in the area. So it's really hard for me to actually say I want a hijabi who's going to wear, you know, hijab 24/7, is going to be ambitious and get into the music industry, but at the same time pray 5 times a day and do this, that, and the other, and go to Hajj. And it's not going to happen. It isn't. So I guess either I can rely on my mum, and hopefully she won't marry me off to one of my cousins, and it will be actually a really good rishta, or I'll have to just, you know, maybe compromise somewhere. But Deen isn't something you can compromise. I think it's a tough situation, especially for me, because no one's really been in this situation before. So I can't go to so-and-so person and say, what did you do? Because no one my age has thought about marriage in the 21st century, being a DJ and a radio presenter.
Okay, so for you personally, when we're thinking about that future partner, your wife, that Muslim wife of your dreams, how do you see her being a support structure for you? When it comes to the spirituality, the level of Islam, what kind of qualities do you think that she needs to bring to the game?
I'm a Muslim, not because I was born a Muslim. But, you know, I've spent time in the mosque. I've spent time with imams and sheikhs from, you know, I've traveled the world trying to find, you know, go to Muslim conferences wherever I can. And that's why I believe in Islam. And I believe that's the way I want my kids to live, and for my wife and family to live. And the family culture already at home is a very Islamic culture I've got. So for someone who, for example, is a gig promoter and I fall in love with her and bring her home, it'll be great for me and her, don't get me wrong, we'll have a great time. But with the family, it won't. And I need someone who's going to be fine with the family. I need someone who's going to integrate with that perfectly. And the common thing they will have is the spiritual side, it's the religion and deen side. And plus having my kids being brought up in deen, I mean, what more can a Muslim man want? I feel Islam really does bring you to a peaceful and loving level. It's a religion that, no matter how stressful the world can be, you will always have that peace inside you, and you can always sit down on a musalla and have that one-to-one connection, or the family sort of, you know, what Islam teaches you as a family and what to do. It really does bring you together and closer, and it brings happiness.
Has Yasser considered the possibility that he may not be able to marry within the faith, or at all?
Let's bang it and go forward 10 years. So in 10 years' time, you still are married because you haven't been able to find the right person. Do you think you'd make a compromise with your life partner?
So I hope in 10 years from now, you know, inshallah, I don't meet people that take me off into the wrong direction, and I do stay straight. And there have been other people, successful Muslims in the media industry, maybe not in the music/media industry, but there certainly have been. And they live a normal Muslim life, so hopefully it won't affect me. But then you also got to realise, well, you know, as Muslims, we believe Allah's written what's best for us. So if I have to compromise it, then I guess that's what was given to me from Allah, I guess. I can't really control that.
Is Yasser naive enough to think that everything will just fall into place?
Just tell me when you're ready to go and we'll...
Rabina has been active for some time online and has come to meet internet matchmaker Adeem to get some tips.
So the main thing for me then is that you're waiting for Mr. Prince Charming to come and find you.
That's right.
But at the same time, you're saying to me that your profile's not very good. You've only got a couple of lines on there.
Yeah.
And your photographs in the private gallery.
Mm-hmm.
And you go on there a lot, but you don't go on the website to find somebody. You go on there to be found.
If someone's interested in me when they've read my profile, then fair enough, but I don't do as much sending other people messages like, come and contact me. I'm letting others find me.
How serious are you about searching?
No, I am serious. It depends how they come across, and that's how I come, you know, how I respond back. So I think I don't push enough. Yeah, I think that's what it is. For example, I'm talking to someone now, but it's like, I'm not really that bothered.
It is apparent that a lack of confidence is fueling her reluctancy.
Well, if he wants to stick around, he can stick around.
If he wants to stick around, he can stick around, but do you want him to stick around? That's the question.
Maybe.
Sorry?
Maybe.
And I think that's where you're losing.
Yeah,
I think you're losing a lot of people that way, because if it's like, I don't care,
I think it's that.
scenario.
I think it's that trust issue again. It just sort of.
But do you care or don't you care?
I do.
You do care, but it's a trust. But it takes time to build a trust.
How do you go about asking for references? That stuff. Is that like references as in from family?
Yeah, it's very easy. So
Adeem has some strong advice he wishes to share.
And I give this piece of advice to to mainly the sisters, but sometimes the brothers as well, is when you're in communication, say to them, look, I want your dad involved. Does your dad know that we're talking? And if they run a mile, then that's it. Thank you very much.
Well, at what stage do you do that? Is that
you do that early on? Yeah, I'd put that in your profile description as well. That parental involvement is a must, or family involvement is a must, because that family involvement then encourages serious candidates.
At some stage, family will get involved.
Yeah, but get the commitment from them earlier on. Would that help the trust? Your trust issues?
I think it would. Yes.
I just feel that there's something that says you don't want to kind of get too involved.
Yeah, I think it's about letting someone in. You know, like if you like give them too much or give them too much leeway, then you know you might end up getting your heart broken if you let someone. You know. So I tend to keep them at a distance, if you know what I mean. Whether it's online or whether I meet someone in person, I do tend to keep them at a distance. So
it's almost like putting your heart on the line in terms of they've been able to damage.
I think I can't see beyond that.
Okay.
So it's knowing. It's like knowing the procedure in a sense. To me, I think that's how I see it, a procedure when you meet someone.
And because of your behaviour or the way that the
way I come across.
The way you come up, yeah. Because I can imagine it can be a bit, well, she's not interested. Clearly she's not interested because she's not showing any interest.
Yeah. I'll probably just say, well, if they don't want to, you know, stay around, then that's fine. I'll just wait for someone else.
And does that not upset? Is that not upsetting in itself, or is that the?
It is a bit upsetting, but it's just, I think, the way I've made myself into. It's.
Rabina feels she needs to put a lot of her private life on the table when meeting people, but Adeem doesn't think so.
At stage one, I should put on sort of like relook at my profile and put in parental involvement.
I'd just say you are where you are in your life right now. Right. If you're divorced, you're divorced. You know, they will find that out, but they don't need to know why you're divorced. Along with stage two is moving forward and just find the right person, but be proactive as well.
I so need to lose weight. My mum's cooking is sick.
Well, if we hit it off, you will lose weight because I don't cook.
Find your perfect partner. SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Half My Faith, All My Struggle.
I dreamt I was honeymooning in Dubai and it was amazing.
Alhamdulillah. Could you dream about honeymooning in Manchester instead?
Find your perfect partner. SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Half My Faith, All My Struggle.
Yasser is in search of a rocking and rolling, practicing wife who is accepting of his DJing work. Would all Muslims be of the opinion that the environment is acceptable or not? Syra is practicing and is more conservative than Yasser, who is liberal, and has come to meet Yasser to discuss his dilemma.
So do you, in all honesty speaking, do you really think you're going to find a practicing Muslim woman who's okay with you being a DJ or going to a club or a festival every day?
Yeah.
You think that they exist?
I think so.
I think it's really good, mashallah, you've got really good intentions, that you're looking for the right things, definitely. It still can affect you because it is sometimes just the environment.
I guess in the industry that I'm in, you know, sort of playing music and presenting TV shows and going to the award ceremonies and all this kind of stuff, a lot of it is about you and it is quite a self-centered industry.
Wearing that hijab was hard. It was really hard, subhanAllah, when none of my friends would wear it. But just that little sacrifice, you can go so far with that, inshallah.
You know how you're saying you are, and rightfully so, you know, obviously you're on the religion of your companions and who you're around would affect you.
Of course, yeah.
Now, I used to work in Curry's, right? And the people I used to work with as a 17-year-old were people who were first going out to clubs and, you know, the sort of Western environment, just before university and stuff. And the influence I'd have off them, I felt is far greater than what I've had whilst working in the industry. So for example, they'd all go on a night out, whether it's Christmas party, whether it's a Friday night after work, whatever it is, they'd arrange the work sort of social, which I wouldn't want to partake in because it's, you know, there's going to be alcohol there, it's going to be an environment that I'm not really comfortable with. But I was always tempted because there were colleagues on my level telling me to do that. But when I went into clubs and started understanding the music side of things and the artistry behind DJing, I go in and the only people that are influencing me are my security guards or my agent. You know, the people in front are literally just consumers I'm seeing firsthand more than anything. And I understand where, you know, it could be perceived as that's, you know, there's a lot of haram going on in front, and yeah, you can be more inclined to doing that if it's around you. But I've kind of felt like I've been numb to that. I've seen it so much that At first I used to laugh at him. I was like, oh my God. Then I started hating the fact that what happened. Then after that I agreed to myself, I don't want to get involved with the alcohol. That is 100% not me, not what my family brought me up to be, and not me at all. But then I'm not going to be influenced by them now. The only people I'm being influenced by are people around me. So if I
let me switch the questions around now. MashaAllah, good answer. That you're doing it for work, etc., and you're not influenced. Just say you had a wife, you were married to her. Now she's involved in the DJing business, the TV, the radio, etc. business. She's a DJ as well. So she wants to practice Islam. Similar like your thoughts. She goes in there, she's a pretty young girl, you know, doesn't matter whether she dresses up a lot or not, she's still attractive, she's still good looking. How would you feel if your wife came back to you home every day and she said, right, I'm off to the club, that gig?
If I know what the environment is, it's a lot different. If the communication is strong, I feel it's a lot different. Now that might be me being naive and you know, in my early 20s, just not even getting into a relationship at all, and sort of, I don't know what the whole situation is and how to deal with a woman, but I feel if the communication is there, it could work. But secondly, it's unfortunate to say this, but the world we live in, women aren't treated equally as men are. And if a female is DJing in that environment, they're going to be more inclined to guys whistling and doing all these things at them. Whereas for a guy, yes, it's also the same for females doing it to men, but it's also, there's that sort of, they're a bit intimidated to do it if your persona isn't like that. Whereas with men, they would just whistle at any woman. You hear about the stories every time there's a construction.
But that's not a reason, that's not an excuse. Yeah, I know that, but just because you're not going to whistle at someone or you can control yourself if you're a man, that doesn't make a difference. So what if you're a man? You know, you don't have to necessarily mix in with them to get attention. You could still, it will affect you. That's the point I'm trying to make.
And if it was, honestly, if it was a situation where I was DJing and a lot of this attention was getting to me, knowing myself, I probably would have backed out a long time ago. I would have thought this isn't for me.
But it's also intention, I think. Say if there's something that I wasn't comfortable doing. Say if it was I had to DJ at a place where, you know, the environment wasn't very good at all. But as long as I know I'm there for the art of it and for the work aspect, not anything else, then fine.
I go to the gym sometimes and it's hard to avoid the music element. And when I'm about to go to sleep, though I don't want to really listen to the music, and it's not something that I, you know, really want, but I just shut up because it's part of my gym thing. When I'm trying to go to sleep, I hear that going back, rewinding in my head, round and round and round. Though I'm not listening to it voluntarily, it still affects me. So do you not think that that environment, though you're not doing anything wrong, alhamdulillah, you're not drinking, you're not messing around with girls, that's great, but you're in the environment, aren't you? So naturally, you might not be in it directly, but it will have some effect in your life.
Is Saira being harsh, or is she being sincere? Yasser has many strings to his bow, and he presents a show on the BBC Asian Network.
Welcome to the show, BBC Asian Network, every single Friday. You know how we do this.
He has recently had his first break on Radio 1. It's time we got to know the real Yasser.
Yeah, I grew up in Manchester in a place called Cheetham Hill, which is a very Asian area. And it was brilliant because I got to sort of have the very Asian upbringing which I'm a huge fan of my culture. I'm very proud of where I come from. So I got to have that. Yeah, at the same time, I was close to the city centre of Manchester, so I could take advantage of what the city had to offer, got to socialise with so many different people, and it wasn't just, you know, sort of British Asians in the area. There was, you know, pockets of maybe, you know, a huge sort of Chinese community, a huge Arab community. So it was really nice, as well as having my culture, had sort of everything else. So I loved it. I thought it was beautiful upbringing.
His values come from his strong family upbringing.
I think my family life growing up was very different to a lot of families, because it was literally just me, my brother and sister, no cousins. We had a few, you know, family friends, but it was always just, you know, us five, mum, dad, brother, sister and me. The culture in my household growing up was, it was a mix between the Western society and the sort of motherland, as you'd call it, which for my parents would be Pakistan. And we're from a small village in Pakistan called Binder, which is, you know, the population is only like 100 people, if that. So coming from there, we had lots and lots of traditional sort of practices in our household. Yet because we were living in England, my parents respected that and acknowledged that, and they knew we'd be brought up in this country, so we'd have a lot of that put in. So, you know, your Sunday dinners and sort of, you know, going to functions and all that kind of vibe was always there, but there was always a traditional element. So on special days of remembrance or, you know, anniversary of stuff, we'd be very traditional in how we did it. In Ramadan, we'd be the most traditional family ever.
With the music industry comes a lot of baggage that may cause conflict with his faith.
My mum and dad are both practicing Muslims, very strict Muslims. They pray 5 times a day. They go to the local mosque all the time when they can. So that was heavy when we grew up. Yet at the same time, my parents did pretty well in not forcing anything on us. Now, if my sister didn't want to wear a headscarf, that was fine. Yet my parents would explain to her why we wear a headscarf and give her the decision. Same with me, if there was anything I wanted to do, for example, getting into music and DJing originally, is seen as a taboo sort of career profession within a British Asian household, especially a Muslim household. It's kind of like, what is this? But after they understood what I was doing, and I understood where Islam's views are on that sort of career path, they were the most supportive. And I think that is the best way to have sort of a religious culture within the house, where you respect where you are and you respect where you come from.
I wouldn't want to go so far down the road where I couldn't come back from something like that, being in the industry and being around so many people that are from, you know, that are all, it's all about them, and it always will be about them because of these celebrities. I wouldn't want to go that far down the road because I don't think you could come back from that.
His music is his passion and he takes it very seriously.
I started off in TV when I was about 11 years old. My relationship with my dad was very supportive from his side to whatever I wanted to do. And from then, I guess, is when he realised that, you know, my son's actually going to go towards this sort of media career, and he's very sort of expressive and open. He's not really going to conform into like an architecture 9-to-5 job. And he sort of understood that from day one. And that really strengthened our relationship. And he'd teach me, you know, he's taught me everything I know, practically, from driving a car to changing a light bulb to doing whatever. And it was through that and the respect that he knew where I was going and supportive of it, which made mine and his relationship brilliant. Like, he's a friend as well as a dad. So I'm very, very fortunate that I've got such a great relationship with my father.
Will he find an accepting wife in the media industry?
I wouldn't want to marry someone who doesn't practice like me, or, you know, because I feel that will break it apart. So you have to be practicing. You have to understand the religion, because I'm thinking, so as married, your brain starts to think of future life, in looking at your kids and looking at what's going to happen when you're older and stuff. And if my wife isn't practicing Muslim, without that key element, I don't think that's going to work. So personally, for me, practicing Muslim is definitely a must.
I dreamt I was honeymooning in Dubai and it was amazing.
Alhamdulillah. Could you dream about honeymooning in Manchester instead?
Find your perfect partner. SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Half My Faith or My Struggle.
Upti, would you like to live with family after marriage?
No, not really.
All right.
That's partly why I want to get married, so I can move out.
Find your perfect partner. SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Half My Faith or My Struggle.
Rabina needs to experience true love, romance and companionship. We have sent her to a local marriage event in Greater Manchester.
I feel quite confident in coming to this event, so I'm hoping to meet quite a few people here. I've not been to a marriage event like this before, so this is a first for me.
The event organisers had limited us to the amount we were allowed to film, but Rabina is proactive.
I think by coming to this marriage event and hopefully by seeing them, see how they look and talk to them face to face, I think it's better than just going online and not seeing the actual face behind the profile. In terms of confidence, I've become quite confident, I think, throughout this journey. And obviously as the journey progresses, I get more confident. I feel that by coming to this marriage event, I'm hopeful in finding someone. The event is going quite good, actually. I've connected with a couple of people here, so I've got a number of someone, and we'll probably meet up for coffee, so you never know. Let's see how it goes with that.
She is positive and she is strong and will keep moving forward.
This event has been a lot more helpful in terms of meeting new people. I don't know, I'll see how it goes. I have spoken to quite a few people here, so yeah, I think it's been very eventful for me this evening.
There are many reasons as to why Rabina has a reluctancy to be proactive in her search. Her past can only be described as tragic. She has bravely agreed to tell us in detail about her story.
We're from a conservative background. I've got 4 sisters and 4 brothers. Growing up, we weren't as close. Well, I wasn't as close to the rest of my family or my mum and dad. When I was about 12, 13 years old, I went to Pakistan and stayed there for a couple of years, and then came back to Bradford. I did want to study, so I did go to college and did a part-time course. My dad obviously is quite strict, but he's one of them, if you get to a certain age, for instance, if you're getting towards the age of 18, that's it, send you off to Pakistan and basically get you married off. I had to do what he and everybody else said. So I think I had no choice in the matter. The third time I went to Pakistan, I was about 17 years old. I don't think they liked the freedom I was having at that time. So I went to Pakistan with my dad. None of the other family went with us, and the intention behind that was to get married. I had to choose between 3 suitors. And it didn't matter who I chose, it was just as long as I chose one of them. I think one was family and 2 were like outside of family. And I was told by my dad to choose any of them. His words were, you either choose one of them or... There used to be like a railway track near our house, and he said something along the lines of, well, you know where the railway track is, just go on. You can either choose that way or you can choose one of these men.
And do you think that it was a serious threat that he made that?
Yeah. And obviously I'm in a country where, you know, I've got no one there. I had no one. So I had to go along with whatever my dad said, so I just chose. I chose an outsider. My mum was in the UK. She didn't come to the wedding. I wasn't that close to my mum growing up anyway, so for her not to be there didn't really make much of a difference. What I went through at the time, I think there was a point when I did get a knife and, you know, made some marks on my arms, but I thought, nah, that's the coward's way out. I think from the age of 18, no, actually from the age of 16 onwards, I think it was for me, it was like a continuous battle. You know, I kept questioning myself and saying, why? Why am I having to go through this? Why doesn't anybody understand me? I didn't think too seriously about marriage at that point. It was just something I had to do. It didn't occur to me about the seriousness of it. You know, what happens after marriage. I don't think I coped. I think I had a little bit of a breakdown in the first week. I was in a bit of pain, well, a lot of pain, but that was my pain. It wasn't anybody else's. I've grown up, in a sense, knowing how to hide my pain. I got married at 18, and then my dad took my passport and he said, you need to settle down and you won't go back to the UK until you get pregnant, basically. And then about 8 months into the marriage, I was pregnant. I came back to the UK when I was about 7.5 months. I came back to live with my mum. She expected me to stay married and just get on with things. I had my first child, and about 2 years later, my husband at the time came into the UK. And at that time I thought, I think I should give it a go, because obviously I've got a baby and she needs a father. I was a housewife, so I stayed at home. I was busy with the children, looking after the house. So he was out earning while I stayed at home. So it became a routine as such. He started to change a little bit then. When I had my fourth child, yeah, the marriage was still, it was in a sense just functional, yes. We didn't have that closeness. I think I just stayed because it was more familiar. And if I was to leave, that means leaving everybody behind, leaving my family behind. Even though we're not close, they're still my family. Because I'd buried my feelings for that long, over that so many years, I think it finally came to a head where I started speaking up within that marriage. And he didn't like that. So he tried to control me. Things started to fall apart. So we used to have arguments over money. We used to have arguments over how the children were being brought up. I wanted my children to have the kind of upbringing that I never had, because I'd keep things to myself. There was no one there for me. I think in them years there was a lot of crying going on, but behind closed doors. I remember one morning when I dropped the children off at school, and I just parked up the car and I think I cried for about an hour, just to get it out of my system. And then I just came back home and carried on as normal. I think that's something that I used to do a lot. He made plans to get married again in Pakistan, which I wasn't aware of. So he went abroad saying he had some family things to sort out. It was really hard. He left me with a lot of loans. He left me with a house that wasn't completed, because we were having an extension built at that time. I only had a kitchen sink and a toilet, nothing else. My parents weren't happy about it, but I think eventually they saw that, you know, the kind of person he was. And I think they could see that I'd come to the end. I just couldn't cope no more. So I had the support of my mum, and then my dad later as well. My dad passed away in Pakistan. I didn't see him. He passed away with no family there, so that was sad. Before he passed away, I think I did get a bit close to my dad, but not. I mean, the thoughts that went through my head was, you know, I couldn't tell him what I'd gone through or what he's put me through. I had the pain for that long about why he never understood me or why he never supported me. I think I just thought, you know, just let it go. Far too much pain there for me to keep blaming my dad for how my life has turned out to be. So yeah, I did. I just forgave him in the end. It was hard. I ended up taking depression tablets. I remember at that time sitting on the sofa with a tablet in my hand, and my daughter came to me and said, "Mum, you need to get a grip. You've got us. You might not have him, but you've got us." So you need to stop taking any more tablets and focus on your kids. I think at that point I thought, I need to think about the future. I need to think about my kids.
Would you like to live with family after marriage?
No, not really.
All right.
That's partly why I want to get married, so I can move out.
Find your perfect partner. SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Half My Faith, All My Struggle.